Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. Home theater, surround sound, lighting control, home automation, alarm systems, security cameras, electronic gates, whole house music systems, fire systems, nurse call systems. What does Safety Systems do? What doesn't Safety Systems do? They do all that stuff I just mentioned and a whole lot more. Give VFL JJ Surlis a call if you have any needs that fall into those categories. Visit safetysystems.com to learn more. All right. Tennessee just signed its best signing class ever in college basketball, ranked number 4th nationally by 24/7 Sports. That's Ryan Callahan's group. You see right there the guys they signed, 2 5-stars and a 4-star, Mark Pancratz. We talked a few weeks ago about how Rick Barnes has kicked things into another gear now in terms of recruiting. Your thoughts on these three and how they may fit in, what this looks like for the 2020 season?
Well, typically when you read bios on these guys, it's all about their offensive capabilities. But what sticks out to me about all three of these guys is everybody raves about their ability on both ends of the floor. Keon Johnson, yes, he's a super talented offensive player. But Mark Griffin, who was his coach, former Vol, all he talks about is he's going to step on campus as UT's best defensive player to go along with his offensive ability. So they fit right in with the hardworking culture, defensive-minded program that Barnes built.
All right, very good. I want to talk about obstacles. Before the season, Mark said he thought this would be a bubble team. I thought it'd be a bubble team. You still, is that where you are? Is that where you
exactly.
Would have been?
I'm still on the bubble.
Okay. Then obviously this team has some things it's going to have to get over to make an NCAA tournament. What are those issues? And Mike, I'll start with you.
Well, the obvious one is the size, the presence in the paint. And you saw Washington with that big old Stewart guy getting in there, muscling around. And
out-rebounded Tennessee 42-22, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, he had 10 rebounds and 7 of 11 shooting or something like that. So that's going to be a problem. Even with Yves Pons' ability to get off the floor, I still throw it out there that inside presence. Some teams it's going to matter, some it's not. But
all right. And I also think, Washington was hurt a little bit. They were big, but they were young. If you start facing some big guys with a little bit more experience, maybe a different battle. Mark, last segment, we were talking about guys that we thought had improved, and you wanted to make clear that there are sometimes the stats can lie. Now, in terms of Yves Pons, I don't think any of us were talking about his stats. However, most of us said Lamonte Turner has played better. I said I think he's played better than I expected. He got named as a former coach. You're not all in on that boat yet. So what are we looking at versus what you're looking at?
Well, I think winning cures a lot of things. And so winning, ultimately, we lead towards the positive side of it. But even yesterday's loss, Lamonte's got 6 turnovers. Him and Bowden have turnovers in different times. Lamonte's not shot the basketball well. And then the depth behind him. I think there's an opportunity and a worrisome for me of who is your backup point guard. Hopefully James continue to grow. I love the fact that you could move Lamonte to the wing when James is in there to play some point guard. But I think there's still improvement that's got to be made from Lamonte as far as running this team.
Okay, and I hope people heard that because when they win, it's still supposed to be glass half empty, and I always get ripped for ever saying anything negative. The show always gets its shots. You guys are mean when they're winning, but you got to look at the reality, and the reality is Turner still has room to grow.
And to that point is one of my biggest concerns. When we talk about potentially being a bubble team, and yesterday went a long way from getting over that bubble, but culture and noise is a thing that can affect a bubble team. This team has won a lot of basketball games last year. You got a 5-star recruit. They're going with Kansas on the schedule, with Wisconsin, Cincinnati. Memphis is better. The SEC is loaded. They're going to lose more basketball games. So with that, how do you within the locker room contain and keep that culture that's really good when you're winning? It's a hard thing when people start losing or not getting the same amount of shots.
We saw toward the end of last season how the SEC can become a grind, and that was for a very veteran team
with depth.
And even they had depth, but they didn't necessarily use it a lot. That's a concern for me when we say they only played 7 yesterday. Ooh, I don't like that. I want them playing 8 or 9. I want more guys in there because I think they wore down toward the end of last season.
Turner is averaging 38 minutes a game through 3 games, I believe.
Yeah,
so that's not sustainable.
Any other obstacles?
I think the other thing is for this basketball team, who can get paint touches consistently. They have to play inside out differently. In years past, inside out has been through the post in a lot of ways with Grant and Admiral. Now, who's a guy that can go in there and get a paint touch and then pass inside out? Yeah, we're a very perimeter offensive team right now. If we're not making jump shots, we're going to see what happened versus Murray State. We're going to be off to a rough start, and so we got to be able to get easy baskets.
Anything else you want to throw out as a potential problem?
Well, I didn't get to say this in the first segment when you talk about East Pines. I just want to jump on the bandwagon there. Here's a guy that I thought after last year that maybe his claim to fame would be on American Gladiator someday,
right,
or French Gladiator. But what he's done has just been so eye-opening.
That is an unexpected plus.
Yeah, that's not in the problem category. That's in the plus category.
All right. When we come back, the NCAA has been in the news recently. A few weeks ago, we talked about Uros Plavsic with Isaiah Victor, who was a guy who came here and had to sit for a year. We talked about what this year was going to be like for Plavsic, what his teammates and coaches need to do to help him get through that. We didn't get a chance to really talk much about the NCAA and their transfer policy. We'll do that next. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Not always what you want to hear, but exactly what you need to hear. This is the Sports Source.